Seriously. Greetings, everyone. This is Payman Lorenzi, host, your friend, your coach. Today, we're kicking off day 3 already of the 5-day podcast launch challenge for the January 2025 for the UK Europe class. Super exciting. We have an amazing group of people here, and I'm super excited to get going. Today, we're going to be diving into the heart of what this is all about, which is about launching a podcast, and we're going to talk about the central point of that, which is not only launching a podcast in 3 easy steps, but also on identifying your zone of genius. And that's, as you will see, this is a central point of what I do and everything that I preach, and especially my academy and the challenge. So let's get going. Let me share my screen. Do you guys see my screen here? All right. So agenda for today is pretty straightforward. No introduction because we all know each other. So we're gonna do a short Q&A first about what I covered yesterday, and then dive in straight into what is your zone of genius, and then what is your ideal listener's avatar, and what is your podcast gonna be about. And then we're gonna be part two. The second half of today is gonna be about let's set up the foundation for launching your podcast. I'm gonna show you how to launch your podcast in 3 easy steps. Are you guys excited about today?
Very.
All right, cool. So first of all, any questions, comments, compliments about yesterday or so far, everything we covered?
Well, it set the scene very nicely for why.
Yes, absolutely. Any other questions, any comments, anything?
Comment is it's giving me a lot of clarity on the direction that I want to go to. And yeah, the collection of people that we have here is really important because we're so there's a lot of diversity which helps my direction in thinking of what kind of podcast I'm going to do. But it's so relaxed, I was literally so anxious and yeah, very relaxed, which is quite important. So
Awesome. Thank you. Anyone else wants to add anything? Michelle or Christine?
I've gone away and done a list of people who I think are interesting and have got something different to talk about.
Good.
So, that's a start.
Okay, cool. Michelle, any question, comment, compliment? No? Okay, cool.
I wasn't here yesterday, so I was just catching up on the.
Did you watch the
from
replay of yesterday?
I got about 3/4, so I've just probably got another 15, 20 minutes to watch. But
Okay.
yeah.
All right. Hey, Payman, do you have any question? Oh, wait, that's me. Sorry. Apologies for that. All right, let's get going. All right, so let's dive right in. So if you want to get leads and high ticket clients and make profit, make money with your podcast, then this is what's going to be we're going to talk about today. And for that, we need something that is very important. You mentioned it, George, and that is clarity. Clarity is the name of the game. And today's talk is 85% about clarity because that's what's going to make or break not just your podcast, but your business, essentially. So let's get going. Again, the number one reason from my experience, and I'm sure most of you guys have been in business long enough, especially online, you realize that the number one reason why most coaches, entrepreneurs, and business owners online struggle to get any traction or meaning any leads on your client is because they lack clarity. They want to help everyone with all of the issues. Helping everyone with all of the issues is something that's, while beautiful, it's something only God can do. Unfortunately, we're not God. So we are a piece of God. So what we need to do is focus on one very specific person and one very specific pain point. So how do we do that? And this is what we're going to be covering today. So because again, the name of the game is clarity. The more clarity you have, the more magnetic your message will be. So let's get going. Now, how do we fix that? We're fixing that. The easiest way, the most effective way to fix that, to overcome the lack of clarity, is by identifying what is your zone of genius and your true gifts. Have you guys heard of the term zone of genius before?
No.
Yeah.
What do you think I refer to when I say zone of genius in gifts? I did mention that in the previous classes, but let's see. Oh, Berta is coming. Beautiful. Okay.
Your
What?
personal talent,
Yeah.
Sorry.
your personal talent, your
Yes, that's part of it. That's part of it. But there's very specific, and I'm going to cover that today. There's a very specific, strategic way to identify that. Okay. Who is not? Okay. Let's get going. So I have a very step-by-step proven blueprint to identifying your zone of genius, a four-step process. First of all is identifying your zone of genius and true gift. Once we have that, that's going to give us clarity as to what is the number one pain point that we can solve, address through our business, our podcast, our office, everything else. And then once we have that number one pain point we can solve, that's going to also make it very clear for us as to who is the very specific person that we can help at the highest level. And that's going to give us our avatar. And once we have that, then the next piece of the puzzle is identifying where is that person hanging out. There's no guesswork involved. It's all very, very logical, very step by step. Everything builds upon the previous step. So again, let me rephrase it again. The first step is identifying what is your true zone of genius and your gifts. Once we have that, that's going to give us clarity as to what is the number one pain point we can solve and for who. That's the second step. Third step is once we have that, we know exactly who's that person. And then the fourth step is simply identifying where is that person hanging out. Does that make sense for you guys? Very specific. Now, let's take a few minutes here to brainstorm. What do you think is your main zone of genius, your main gift for each of you? Briefly. Hello, Berta. Good to have you with us. Anyone wants to take a crack at it? What do you think is your true zone of genius, your gift? One sentence.
Sorry. Hello, Mr. Lorenzo.
No problem.
Yeah,
Welcome.
sorry. I'm at work as all week, so I'll always
No
be
worries.
hiding behind the scenes.
It's
Yeah,
okay. Thank you for joining us. It's okay.
that's okay.
Thank you. Who wants to take a crack at it? What do you think is your zone of genius? Or maybe your zone of genius?
Your knowledge, what you've done.
That's part of it. Yes, that's part of it.
Do you
Anyone
want
else
what we
wants?
think? Do you want us to say what we think ours is, or just generically?
No, what you think is or can be your zone of genius?
for me, I think lived experience.
Yes, that's
You
part
know,
of it. Yes.
Yeah, the same. I think what you specialize in, what your
Yes.
expertise is.
These are all part of it. Yes, these are all great answers. Did you want to add anything to that, James?
So I think for me, my zone of genius is my ability to see the truth in people, regardless of how they present,
Love
with
that.
an ability to motivate them and touch them to actually do something about it when they're ready.
Beautiful, beautiful. Anyone else wants to add anything to it? Once, twice. All right, let's
Yeah, I think my talent, skills, and experience,
absolutely.
profession, learned one and innate one.
That's
Thank you so
it.
much, Alice.
That's it. That's it. So these are all great answers. Now let's take a look at it. So I have a specific approach to identifying zone of genius. There's four ways to identify your zone of genius. The first one is look at your professional background. If you spend any amount of time in any industry, then that's the first place to start because you understand that industry inside out in a deep way. You know what's the pain point, what's the daily routine of that person, you speak the language, and so on and so forth. The second way to identify your zone of genius is if you have any high income skill. That could be, say, you're amazing with words and you're great sought after either speaker or a writer or even copywriter or anything like that. Or even if you say you're amazing at selling or negotiation, that's an amazing high income skill that you may have learned in your career so far, and people will pay for that. Third one is if you have any special talent or skill. They can be anything. It can be as simple as, hey, you're amazing with musical instruments. There's plenty of people who have built very successful businesses teaching others how to play the piano, the guitar, any instrument, learning to dance, learning to anything that you can teach someone. That can be a business. The fourth one, and that's the most common one, and that's also my favorite, and that is any major challenges that you may have overcome in your life. Basically, your hero's journey. Take a look at your life. As I said earlier, we all have a fair share of pain, trauma, abuse, tragedy, disease, heartbreak, betrayal, and so on and so forth. Sure, they hurt a lot when you go to them, but then they become our story. Then our story becomes our duty and our gift, and our gifts become our duties and responsibility to share them around us and around the world. And as I mentioned many times before, when someone is looking for a coach or a mentor or an activator, they're not looking for a disconnected millionaire. They're looking for someone that's just one, two, three, at most four steps ahead of them, someone they can relate with, identify with, resonate with a message, someone that is reachable and accessible, and most importantly, someone that has successfully overcome what they may be going through currently. And some of the best, most impactful, purposeful, and very profitable businesses to build with are the businesses where you teach others how you've overcome what you went through. Because what you went through, you can bet your bottom dollars that a lot of people currently are going through, and they're just really looking for someone, a big brother, a big sister, to say, hold my hand, I've been in your shoes, this is how I made it, you will be able to make it too as well. And I'm here to be your accountability partner, to coach you, to help you, to guide you, to inspire you, and so on and so forth. So these are some of the best businesses to build. So let's take a few minutes here. If you look at these four ways to approach to identify your zone of genius, which one do you think applies the most to you personally?
The last one.
Yes. Okay. And what specific challenge that you may have overcome that you would feel would be an amazing, purposeful, and profitable business for you to build?
The challenge of overcoming having grown up into a patriarchal, insecure, frightened man, viewing women in generically patronizing, condescending, sexist, misogynistic ways that I grew up believing was normal in the 70s with my father as my role model. And overcoming that, which will make me a work in progress for my entire life. But that actually is part of the appeal, that I've gone far enough now to be able to coach women, which is what I do a lot of at the moment, to cope with the kind of man I grew up into. So my story is growing up into it, owning it, admitting it, acknowledging it, sharing the journey of transformation along the way, and knowing that I will be doing this for my life as I overcome deep-rooted nonsense which I grew up believing.
Yes. Powerful, powerful. Thank you for sharing. Anyone else wants to add and give us their take on which of these four would apply the best to them?
Mine was similar. Mine is coping with the negativeness around me. I grew up a bit of the same as James, believing because I wasn't here in the UK to pass my 11 plus. And I came back to the UK when I was nearly 15. They didn't quite know what to do with me. So I was always sort of considered, why would you think you could go to university? Why do you think you could be as good as other people around you? And then negativeness when I started my business, or what makes you think, well, people actually said to my face, you're a woman, what makes you think you can bring change? Why would anyone listen to you? And it's still, that question still is addressed to me now, even after all these years and starting two businesses. People still say, who are you and why do you think you can do anything? Where do you come from?
Powerful.
I think there's a lot more like us.
Sure, absolutely. Thank you for sharing that. All right, cool. Let's move on. It can also be something as simple that's something that quite a few of us have that. It can be something that you're really passionate about, that you really love geeking on, and you're known among your circle, your friends, for being the go-to person in that about that topic. So if you have any topic that you can really geeking on, for example, for me, when I was younger, I was obsessed with Brazil. I was known as Mr. Brazil. Anything to do with Brazil, I was the guy to go to. But of course, while this is a fun topic, it's not really monetizable, especially now with Google and all information you want for free. I can't really monetize that. But so that's an example. So one thing I want to ask you also is do not discard anything because our choosing, we all make that mistake of not valuing our gifts, our talents, our skills, because they're nothing special for us. It's second nature. But for someone else, I can't tell you how many times I've spoken to someone for the first time after 5, 10 minutes, and I realize, oh wow, this is your zone of genius. This is your gift. Say, oh really? I never thought about it. I was asking why? It's because it's very obvious. It's second nature for them. So take a look at all of the skills, assets, personal soft skills, assets you may have any, and by asset I mean talents, wisdoms, skills that you may have acquired in this and so far on your path, or anything that you may be even that you love geeking about, that you're known among your circles. Don't discard anything. That's my suggestion. Even go as far as taking a piece of paper later today and write down anything that comes to mind. Any topic that you really love geeking about, that you really just enjoy, passionate about, and just take a look at it. And one exercise I do for my students of Academy is to map out their lives, and I will share it with you guys as well. Take a piece of paper, make a few columns. Each column represents each very painful negative chapter of your life. You don't have to write an essay, just 1 or 2 keywords for each chapter. And at the bottom, you draw a line and then 2 questions. What is this trying to teach? What was that trying to teach me? What was the lesson for me to learn to that? Once you fill that piece of paper, stare at it, look at it, and see which one speaks the loudest to you in the most visceral and the most painful way, which one evokes the most painful feelings, emotions. The one that brings the strongest emotions, guess what? That's the most impactful gift that you've been blessed with. The more painful challenge or chapter or anything that you've overcome in your life, the more impactful, the more purposeful, the more transformational that is going to be. And the more transformational something is, the more your clients will be willing and able to pay you. Does that make sense? So please do this exercise. This is for you. You're welcome to share it with us inside the WhatsApp group, so that we can all learn each other about each other, but also to inspire each other. And maybe we can, by becoming vulnerable among each other, maybe that's gonna plant the seed of potential collaborations. You never know, and business opportunities that we can help each other. So that's how we identify our zone of genius. And one thing I always say, and you've heard me say that before, your crap is your gold. Or in other messages, in a more PC way, your mess is your message. So again, take inventory of all of the painful, heartbreaking challenges that you've overcome in your life or chapters. And the more painful that was, the more impactful, the more purposeful, the more transformational, and the more profitable it's going to be for you. So now that once we've identified our zone of genius, the next step of the process is that's going to allow us to really identify who we can help at the highest level, and that's going to be our avatar, because we want to be able to help someone that resembles you as much as possible, that looks like you as much as possible, that so they can resonate with you, identify with you, and so on and so forth. For example, me as a guy, can I realistically become a very effective coach, helping women not overcome, but go successfully through pregnancy? Sure, I can learn it, but can I really connect with a woman and really understand and feel what she's going through? No, because I'm not a woman. I will never understand what a woman may go through pregnancy. So take something that you can really identify, that you can really resonate with, so that your avatar, when he or she sees you, the reaction they will have is, wow, he or she understands me. He speaks my language. She knows what I'm going through, so that she's one of me. Oh, I can is like me. This is very important. Your avatar is someone that, ideally, your avatar is someone that resembles you as much as possible, but ultimately, your avatar, guys, is no one else than yourself. Build your business, build your avatar, build your offer the way you wished existed when you were starting a few steps ago. Build your offer, your business, everything you're doing the way you wished existed when you're at your lowest. If you can do that, you will be golden. Because again, the point of all of this is so that for you to simply speak from the heart, sharing your story of how you've overcome what you've overcame. When I say your avatar ultimately is yourself just a few steps ago, does that make sense, guys? This is very important. Your avatar is not someone that is completely disconnected from you, because if it's disconnected, they will not be able to relate with you. Yes, James, you want to say something?
Well, I completely follow you. I completely get you, and it's the advice I give a lot of folk as well when they're doing this sort of stuff. What I'm finding interesting, and I've just been making notes, is that my target audience are women.
Yes.
Initially.
Yeah.
So that isn't me. But in recognizing what I've come through and where I've now got to, in being me, I can then offer support and advice to women who are dealing with people like I was.
Yes.
So, but when I look at the male audience, which will follow, then that statement is very true. Then I am writing it for me.
Yes. Great question. One thing I will tell you, and that applies to all of us, I went through that myself. When I first started my journey 4 years ago, my avatar that I had in my head was male conservative entrepreneurs, because that's who I am. But then within 2 months, I realized, based on feedback and data, not from people that said I was interested, but people actually paying me, that 90% of my clients were women. So it's great to have a starting point where we're going to start, but be very careful, pay close attention to the feedback, the data you're getting from your paying customers. So, James, I love what you said. You want to help women? Yes. Start there. If that's what you're passionate about, that you can really help these women at the highest, yes. But pay very close attention to the feedback and data you're getting from your clients. If within 3 to 5 months you notice that most of your clients' inquiries are coming from men, then that might tell you something that you might have to readjust and pivot a little bit. I'll give you an example of a very famous real life example. I mentioned to you guys Russell Brunson yesterday, one of the co-founders of ClickFunnels, a multi-billion-dollar company. One of his first businesses way back 15 years ago, he was selling an electronic ebook to help men overcome porn addiction. That was his target market were men. But within a few weeks, he realized that 95% of the clients were women. Why? Because the women were the one being hurt. They were a man being addicted to porn. That was affected. It was affecting their intimacy, their relationship. So these women reached out, looked for solutions to help their partners, their husband, their boyfriend, and so on and so forth. So when he realized that, hey, while my product is mainly targeted for men, but the ones that are buying it are mostly women, then you have to pivot. So the point is, it's great to have a starting point where we want to start, but be very careful, pay very close attention to the feedback, the data you're getting from your paying clients, and then adjust accordingly. Does that make sense?
Can I just add something to that?
Please.
But I was listening to something the other day, and the question was, why are so many young men up to the age of 40, say, committing suicide? And the discussion was about men actually growing up feeling that they can't express their emotions. They're always brought up to believe that men don't cry. Men just buckle up and keep it all inside. And so many men are not even seeking help before they get to the suicide stage.
Yes.
So I hear what James says, and I hear what you say, and I think we have to be aware that it isn't just women that have.
Entirely right. Entirely accurate. I fully
Yes,
support what you're saying.
yes.
Absolutely.
And I think that is something that really does need addressing.
And
It
I would say,
does.
go
It
ahead.
does on many levels. I think the other thing that I've had to, well, I haven't had to, the thing that's come through to me, because I never saw this coming. You know, in July last year, this arrived in my life. By October last year, I had this direction. It was never something I saw coming. So the phrase of try not to boil an ocean, the world needs help.
Absolutely.
Everybody needs help. But
And James, just quickly, I want to say, as somebody that chairs such a large network, um, I'm reaching out to you because I hear you and I'm encouraged by you to introduce you to my network of such a large group. And it's, the allyship, it's the lived experiences, you feel. So, um, you're almost a genderless person.
I'm
Because
not sure that'll go well on my profile, but I can. But
because
no,
it
so that means a lot to me because it's that's very touching. Thank you, because
I just wanted to,
no,
sorry,
no,
Haytham.
no, thank you so much. I had a conversation this morning, and this comes back to the point just raised. You know, who is my target audience and the zone of genius and all of this topic, and it is people generically, but from a business perspective, you can't start there because it's too big. So my zone of genius might be the things which I've shared, but the pull from the audience first has been from the women. So I take everything Payman has said, fully support it, and have to accept that where I want to go may not be who wants me to go there first. And so
Exactly. Yes.
Yes.
being aware of that, and
Mm,
Christine, the program that I'm going to create later will be for me, as Payman was saying, the men, because the men need help. But men don't have a burning platform to change the
mm,
way the world is right now.
Yeah.
mm.
Well, you could talk about American men at the moment have a big burning platform, but they're going to get
Burnt.
Yes.
Burnt
but
by it.
but the women do. So it's what is my zone of genius? What is my offer? Who wants it today?
Mm,
And then bring them all together. So,
mm.
Yes.
but
That is a big elephant to bite, isn't it?
well, it's that old phrase, how do you eat an elephant? One mouthful at a time.
Yes.
And,
That,
Yes.
so that I think payment is the additional part of that conversation, which is here's my zone of genius. This is where I'm drawn. This is where my passion lies. But the market, as you were saying, is coming from over there. So can I pivot is the modern word, but can I align? Can I make peace with? Can I
Mm,
serve?
yes.
I love the phrase, our audience are the people we wish to serve.
mm,
And then
Yes.
it's in service of George, which comes
mm,
back to your point of yesterday. I shouldn't charge for my services. You you pay everybody for their services, but you don't charge for your services. So
Mm.
if you're in service and if what you offer
mm,
changes lives or improves lives, then there is a value to the other person. Your only
mm.
job is to work out what's affordable and where you're comfortable.
Absolutely.
Isn't it also a question of balance? Because to do the amount of community work that I feel I'm doing, I need to balance that with some paid work
Yes.
because I have to be, I say to people, look, I have to be sustainable. Otherwise, I'm not here tomorrow.
So
So
I would say,
I have to charge for some things, but
You know
give
what?
other things free.
When we talked the other day, me and you, Christine, I recommended a ratio of each month, let's say you do 5 paid projects, one pro
Mhm.
bono, not the other way around, because
You did,
otherwise it's not
yes,
sustainable. We all need to
yes.
make money, but let's do so in a way that is meaningful, impactful, purposeful. So cover
well,
your
and
bases.
sustainable. and sustainable
Yes.
Mm, yes.
more than anything else, because and how it was described to me was that if we don't charge, and so we're unable to offer our gift, then there are people out there who are losing
Yes.
out because
Yes.
we're holding back.
I
Yes.
just want
True.
to also love this conversation. I want to add one thing to what you mentioned, Christine, just a few minutes ago, that why men, we as men, we're wired not to seek help. I went to that myself 4 or 5 years ago when I was going to my lowest, depressed, broke, suicidal.
Mm,
I was the guy, I was the rock for my siblings, for my girlfriend, for people around me, but I never dared reaching out for help. I was dying within inside of me. That's why I ended up
mm,
in such a bad position, almost on the streets. That's when
mm,
I had no other option. And I said, I reached out to my sister. I told her, listen, I'm in a
mm,
bad position. She said, why didn't you tell me before? That's because, well, I'm not supposed to. Me and my culture as the eldest son, I'm the one supposed to take care of my siblings, which I did for the first 35, 40 years of my life. But then I couldn't do it anymore because
mm,
just like the saying, you need to first fill your cup so you can bless others. But I had nothing left in my cup.
mm,
So that's something that I went to myself and I understand. And now I know when I need help, I put my ego to the side and I
mm.
seek help. The ego is our biggest enemy.
Yes. In
Mm.
another group, I've got a gentleman that I've um, become quite close to because I resonate with what he says. And that's his business, is talking to other men about where they are. He calls it looking in the mirror. When you look in the mirror, can you see yourself and your position and where you are?
Mhm.
He's struggling just to get started, and yet what his offer is, I think, really important. And I think he's because he's been in that position, and
Mhm.
he looked in the mirror and he said he didn't like what he saw. Um, I would love to be able to refer him to people that he can partner with, and he can build his business, but he's still working through it in his mind, what that business actually looks
Mhm.
like, who are the people that he needs as a client. A lovely young man, he really is, and very helpful. um Sometimes that's all we can do, as when we're already in business, is to help somebody else. If we can
Yes.
help pull them up the ladder, there's a
Paying
time
forward.
when they will help us.
Paying forward. The
Paying
universe
forward.
will pay you.
Yes.
Yes. That
Mm,
anyone who's struggling with that fear of starting, fear of failure, or worse, fear of success, all they need to do, I love this American principle of fail fast, fail forward. Your
mm,
best teachers are your mistakes. So tell the gentleman, hey, it's okay. Start where you are. Don't wait to be perfect. Just start where
mm,
you are. Pay close attention to the feedback you're getting from the market, especially from the people that are paying you, and adjust accordingly. If you feel that I can help them, please connect with me. I would love to have a conversation with that gentleman, or even invite them for the next.
mm.
Well, yeah, just put him in touch with me. I'd love
he
to
he
help them.
he would be a lovely guest. I'll add him to the
Yes,
list. I've got a list.
awesome,
I like the Gilbert and Sullivan opera. I've got a little list.
awesome. Thank you. Let's love this conversation. Let's move on. So as I mentioned earlier, ultimately your avatar is you when you were starting out. I completely understand where you're coming from, where you're saying, James. Start where you are, but be very open to see what the feedback you're getting from the market. Just like, for example, myself, when I started, within 2 months, I realized 90% of my clients are women. Russell Brunson, 90% of his customers were women. Then you had to adjust, you had to make the changes in his copy and so on and so forth. So this is exactly what that means. So again, build your offer, craft your messaging, your business, and your podcast the way you wished existed when you were starting on your journey, when you were at your lowest. If you can achieve that, then you're absolutely golden, because with so many people that can relate with you, they will find you. You will be magnetic. You will stand out. You're not going to be generic trying to sell a dream or dangle a carrot in front of them. You will be speaking from something very concrete that they're currently going through. And you will be authentic, speaking from that, and that's going to make you really stand out. All right, let's move on. So once we identify your zone of genius, we identify your now the next level is that's going to allow us to identify our ideal listeners, prospects, and clients. So once you know exactly what is your zone of genius, then it's going to be very easy for you to identify what is the very specific person that you can help at the highest level. Not men or women in general, but the more specific you can be, the more magnetic your message will be. Let's say, for example, you spend 25 years in accounting, then you know that industry inside out better than anyone. You know what is the major pain point of accountant. Let's say you work with nurses or people in the health industry, then you fully understand what is the pain point, what is the challenges. You speak the language, you identify with them, and when you craft your message, you will be speaking from your experience. And then when he or she reads your message, sees it, they will fully identify with you because again, you understand that person. Does it make sense, George? Cool. And again, it all goes down to your zone of genius. Your zone of genius is going to be the central point of everything we're doing. It's going to be because the ultimate business to build is building a business where you simply sharing your story, how you've overcome whatever you overcame, and speaking from the heart. That's why our gifts are phenomenally powerful. Do not discard anything. So tonight, today, wherever it is, please take some time, take a piece of paper and map out your life. Make some columns and write down all the painful chapters of your life. You don't have to write, and say for each one just one or two keywords. And at the bottom, draw a line and two questions. What was that trying to teach me? What is the lesson for me to learn to that? And once you've done that, completed that piece of paper, stare at it for as long as it's going to take. Let the emotions come and see which one evokes the most painful, the most powerful, the most, intense feelings to you. And the one that really triggers you the most, guess what? That's your zone of genius. Because again, the more painful the challenge you've overcome, the more impactful it's going to be, the more transformational. Remember what I said yesterday and the day before? Make your business not transactional, but transformational. The more transformational it is, the more people will pay you because the bigger the impact will be. All right, cool. Next, once you identify the zone of genius and the avatar, then it's going to become crystal clear for you what your podcast is going to be about. Do you see how logical it follows? There's no guesswork involved. If you're looking to build a podcast about a hobby, that's a different story. You can start a podcast on whatever you enjoy doing. But for business, especially one that is you want to be profitable and impactful, this is the best, from my experience, the best structure to follow. So again, we've identified your zone of genius, or at least I showed you how to do it. What is your special talent, special skill that you can help, and what is the very specific person you can help at the highest level? And again, the more specific your message is going to be, your message and your offer, the more magnetic it's going to be. The last thing you want is to be vague and trying to help everyone. If you're too vague and helping too many people, your message is going to get diluted and not resonate with anyone, which is the number one mistake most entrepreneurs, online coaches make because they want to. And it's not really a mistake because they come from a good place, good intention, good hearts, but helping every one of those issues, that's something only God can do. We're not God, but we're a piece of God. So what we need to do is identify one specific person, one pain point, and then go with it. Some powerful reminders, as I mentioned before, do not sell your time or your knowledge. Instead, offer transformation. The bigger the transformation, the more basically profitable is going to be. As simple as that. As I mentioned in the first few minutes of the call on Monday, business, especially high ticket selling, is about one thing and one thing only: trust. And the best way to build that trust is by building rapport and by having heart-to-heart conversation on a podcast. When someone is looking for a coach, a mentor, or my favorite, an activator, they're looking for someone that's just a few steps ahead of them, not a disconnected millionaire. Someone that can really understand them, that's been in their shoes not long ago. Someone, and most importantly, someone that is accessible, reachable. And I will share the slides in an hour or so on the WhatsApp group. Please take the time to really do all this, answer these questions for yourself. The more time you spend on those, the more it's going to help you with having the laser focus clarity you need. And as you understand by now, clarity is what's going to make or break not just your podcast, but your business, essentially. So please do that. Now that you've done that, let's move on into actually having your own podcast. So I'm going to share with you now how to launch your podcast in 3 easy steps. This is the same principle that I used. This is the same structure that I built my academy for up until summer of last year that was selling for 2,000 pounds. The exact same blueprint. Exact same blueprint. Now I'm sharing it with you guys as a bonus for free. So the first step is the foundation, which we've been working on a lot so far. Second one is the tech and equipment. I'm going to introduce that a little bit today, but we're going to dive deeper into the tech tomorrow. And then the launching. So let's go first. The foundation, as I mentioned earlier. Why do you want to start a podcast? What message are you trying to convey to your podcast? What are you trying to serve your ideal listener and avatar? Is there anything below here? Okay. And choosing the right type of name and format for your podcast. We're going to do that tomorrow. The length, the format, the structure of your podcast, all of that, we're going to do that tomorrow. This is an introduction. And then sharing with you how to get high quality guests for your podcast. That's very powerful. We're going to do all that tomorrow and on Friday. So this is the structure I've been using in my academy for the last 3 years. Basically, it all revolves around that central foundation of Zone of Genius. The second step is the equipment. You need to be in an environment that's quiet. There's no distraction. And of course, your equipment, the microphone, the headset, the accessories. I'm going to share with you guys tomorrow what microphone I recommend. The microphone is the only equipment you need to buy to start a podcast. And the good news is you can buy a very good starting podcast microphone for less than $100, $150. So what, less than 100, as you guys would say, 100 quid. Through either from Amazon or from your local electronics store. And then the tech specs, requirements, and all that, I'm going to cover much deeper into that tomorrow. So this is second step. First step is a foundation, which we've been doing for the past 2 days, and we're going to do again tomorrow. Second step is the tech. The tech is very easy. Don't let the tech side of it scare you. Here's the first. Let me give you some examples. The first microphone I bought back in March of 2020 is this one, the Samsung 2QU handheld dynamic USB microphone recording and podcasting pack. I bought it for $63 back from Amazon back in March of 2020. I checked again when I went to Canada in October of last year. It was now almost double. So $120, but what, 80 pounds, 90 pounds for the same. This is the one that started me from zero for the first 2 years and over 200 episodes. It's a great starting podcast. Whenever you buy a microphone for your podcast, 2 things to be careful for. 1, make sure it's a USB microphone. So all you have to just plug it to your computer. So you don't need to buy those extra equipment that cost hundreds if not thousands of pounds. These are great, but these are something that you need to really be almost like a sound engineer to make it work. There's a steep learning curve if you want to use that. But the beautiful thing about a USB, literally, I'm using a USB. Let me unplug mine for a second. You see this? This is a USB. I just plug it in here on my laptop. That's it. This is a microphone. This one is a more expensive one. I bought it for $300. This is one of the best brands in the world, Rode. But again, I bought this after 4 years. This was the first one, the Samsung 2QU. So that got me started. So number 1 thing, make sure it's a USB microphone. And number 2, make sure it comes with a stand, just like on the picture here. Sure, you can get fancy and buy the ones with the arm and boom and stuff like that. But those require installments and a bit more complex, especially for someone like me that's very, I travel all the time. I want it to be just this, fit in my laptop. That's it. So you guys, if you have your own office, You can get those arms and all that, but honestly, you don't need to. Just get something like this, very inexpensive. You just put it on your table with a stand. You're good to go. So these are the only two things I really recommend that you be careful when you buy a microphone. Make sure it's a USB microphone, and two, make sure it has a stand. Other than that, do not worry about any accessories. Don't go down the rabbit hole of what accessories do I need, because if you do, you're gonna be lost. There are millions and millions of accessories available. You don't need any accessory, at least to start with. I don't have any accessory myself, and I've been podcasting for the last 4 years and 400 episodes. So don't let anyone try to tell you, oh, you need all this expensive stuff. No, you do not. Also, before you do anything, of course, that goes without saying, common sense, make sure you test before every episode. That happened to me a few times, especially initially when I was first starting. Either halfway through an episode, or even worse, at the end of a beautiful conversation, an hour, 2 hour conversation, I noticed, oops, I wasn't recording. My microphone wasn't plugged in. That's the last thing you want, because it makes you look like a newbie.
We did that last week, an
Yes.
event
Yes.
online, and people there, and it was amazing. It was an absolutely amazing event. Everybody gave some really heartfelt stuff that we could use, and then the lady said, "I forgot to record it." I thought, "Oh my God!"
See? To counteract that, what I recommend always as a backup, whenever I get on a Zoom call, when I record a podcast, I always ask the other person to record as well. Just a backup. That saved me at least 3 times, because you may get distracted or go to the bathroom, someone knocks on the door, you pause the recording, and after that, you forget to resume recording. Oops. And what's going to save you is the other person recording. So by default, whenever I started recording a podcast, I always ask the other person, hey, please record it. I give you my blessings to record as well. Another tip I can give you, yes, you can record through Zoom on the cloud, but I'm not a big fan of the cloud, because
What's happened about getting people's permission to be recorded?
Yes.
That nowadays seems to be a given, that you are automatically on record.
I don't know.
And you don't ask people first.
No, I don't know. But what I would say is, I would recommend you record it on your computer. And after a while, once you've done, say, 100 episodes, get one of those external drives so you can free up your computer. Especially if you do long 1 hour podcast episode after 100 episode, that's going to take a big bulk of your computer's hard drive. And the more stuff you have in your computer, the slower it gets. So get one of those SD, whatever it's called, SD external drive. You can get one for less than $100 for like 2 terabyte. Just as that's gonna serve as two things. One, as an extra backup, but also keep your computer clean and computer very empty. So that's the other. That's probably the only accessory you will need, but not initially. Once you've done, say, 50 or 60 or 100 episode, then yes. Or if you currently have a computer that's pretty full, then make sure you make some space in your computer, either by deleting stuff or by getting an external hard drive. So again, test everything before every call. That's what I always do. Test the audio, make sure my microphone is connected to my computer, make sure the lighting, there's no one coming in, no distraction, and all that. As to whether you should have a list of questions, I would recommend no, because you don't want this to sound like an interrogation. It's a conversation. Sure, you can have a structure. For example, for me, for my episodes, I have a structure. 4 key points. 1, what's your story? What's your background? What's your business? What cause are you really passionate about? These are the 4 key chapters, if you want to call it, or elements. But then anything else is just open. Just like keep it organic, just like a conversation. When you talk to someone in real life, a single question can take the conversation to a completely different direction. A question as simple as, so tell me, what's your story, George? Simple, something as simple as that. The first question I ask is, James, For people who don't know you, tell us, who's James as a man, as a human being, before the business person? Something as simple as that. And then take it from there. I can share with you guys some lists of questions that I've been using for the past 4 years. Again, not mind you, not all of them, but some of them, depending on who I'm talking to and where the conversation is going. Just feel it. Just like when you're talking to someone, you know which question to ask when. Same thing here. And always, 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 never speak from a script. Don't even speak from here, speak from here, from the heart. Simple as that. Now, when it comes to editing and uploading, again, I'm going to briefly fly through that now, but I'm going to spend more time on it tomorrow. Editing is basically when you take the raw file. The beautiful thing with Zoom is that at the end of each call, Zoom gives you two files, one audio and video, and it automatically extracts the audio from the video. That's one less step for you to worry about. And whenever you do any editing, I highly recommend you make a copy of that file. I never do any editing on the original file. I make a copy and I do all the editing, slicing, cutting, whatever on the copy version. And this is why, again, it's very important for you to have an external drive, because if you have an hour and a half conversation, you make a copy of it, that's going to be right away. That's going to be almost 1 GB, high quality video. So get an external drive, and that's it. So editing is not very complicated. Yes, there is a learning curve, depending on what kind of system, computer you're using. If you're using Mac, iMovie, that's all you need. If you're using Windows, God help you. No, I'm joking. I haven't used Windows since 2012, so I have no idea what. I think it's Windows Movie Maker or something like that. So look into your computer, see which program is pre-installed, which software is already pre-installed into your computer, and simply use it. Always keep in mind, YouTube is your best friend. YouTube is the biggest university in the world. And whenever I had to learn everything I needed to learn through YouTube, and the best way to learn, don't just watch passively, because if you were to watch a 10-minute tutorial video on YouTube, if you just watch it passively, you're going to be confused. You're going to be overwhelmed. Instead, watch, pause, do, resume. This way, within 10-15 minutes, you will be done. Yes, if you do heavy editing, you may need a good pair of headphones. But the good news is, again, you don't have to spend a ton of money. You probably have a good functioning pair of headphones somewhere in your office, at home. Use that. I will tell you, in 4 years and almost 400 episodes, I can count on one hand the number of times that I had to do editing. The only time I do editing is if the guest asks me, can you please remove this? I don't do it because I want to keep it organic, and also because I don't want to create extra work for myself. Simple as that. So editing is not very hard. It does require a certain learning curve, but it's not complicated. It's not rocket science. You guys are all smart enough to learn it within half an hour. And it's simple as that. Another thing that I would highly recommend to add to your podcast, especially YouTube videos, to make them more professional, and that is adding show notes, episode summaries, timestamps. Do you guys know what a timestamp is?
Nope.
When in a book, you have a table of content. On page 21, you talk about this. Now, same thing for a YouTube video. If you go and take a look at every replay video I've shared with you guys, timestamps. At 00, we have the intro. At 2:25, we have Q&A. At 54, we talk about this and this and this. Basically, chapters for people to navigate and know, to get an idea, and also they can jump straight to the part that they're really interested in. And that's something that's going to really allow you to capture the attention of your audience, because most people don't have the time to sit through a 50-minute video. But if you give them little chunks, I want to jump to see what's, for example, at minute 12, Christine talks about her background. Let me hear about her background. And then a minute 25, she talks about her current business. Let me do that. And when someone goes that way, they will be much more likely to listen to more and more, because before you know it, you've listened to a few more, just like a chapter. You jump straight to a chapter of the book, let's say that bookstore, you look at chapter. Let me go to this chapter. Before you know it, you've read 2 or 3 chapters, and before you know it, you buy the book. Same thing here. So that's what a timestamp is. I will show you guys tomorrow how to create that. It's very easy. Transcriptions, there's software that do that. The contact info, that's something I always do. It's very easy. Just ask the person you interview, hey, what's the best way to reach out to you if someone wants to connect with you? And just put their contact, the website, the addresses, well, not addresses, their emails, the social media, and so on and so forth. So very easy. Again, I mentioned that. I barely do anything editing unless the person asks me. Hosting, yes. Hosting is important. Hosting, especially for the audio. For the video, is going to be mostly on YouTube, and we're going to cover that tomorrow. For audio, you will need a hosting service online, which is going to be the home of your audio files. There's plenty of options available. Some are free, some are paid, and the paid ones are very expensive, like $10 a month. And you simply upload the audio video from your computer into your dashboard. And from your dashboard, you just spread them across all of the podcasting platforms, such as Apple, Spotify, Google, iHeartRadio, and so on and so forth. That's how you do it.
Could you just go through that again?
From the hosting is basically a service provided online, and there's plenty of those available. Some are free, some are paid.
I'm going to ask you to stop there. So your audience, and I'm speaking purely about myself, understands every word you've used in isolation, but as a sentence, not the faintest idea what you're talking about.
Okay.
So the term hosting, that in this context, what does that mean? Could you just be a little bit more basic for me, please?
Okay, the hosting is basically a service, a platform that you sign up for. There's going to be basically where your audio files for your podcast, for your audio podcast, will be hosted. They cannot be hosted on your computer. They will be hosted online on a hosting service. You simply upload your audio file from your computer into your dashboard on that service provider. And from that service provider, you spread them across all the other platforms such as Spotify, Apple. If you guys want, I can cover that tomorrow. That's going to be over and beyond what was programmed for tomorrow. It's not complicated.
Well, it's more a question. So for me, you're speaking about something I understand very loosely and generically what you're talking about, but I'm left with no idea how to do it. Or what? So, yes, my level of assumed knowledge is much less than.
Okay. If you guys want,
I must admit, I presumed that the best thing to do is use YouTube. Is that
yes.
not?
If you guys want, I'd be
Doesn't
happy.
that act as a hosting platform?
Yes. No, YouTube only for video. If you guys want, I'd be happy as my way to further help you guys to come on the call an hour earlier tomorrow, and I will show you step by step how to do that.
Okay.
Does it work for you,
So
James?
I've already got the ones I've done with you, but they haven't gone anywhere.
Okay.
So
I
that would be good.
I've only got this.
Does it work for you, James? Can you make it an hour earlier tomorrow?
No, I'm already taking this hour out of a workshop already, so I can't go earlier.
Okay.
Can you stay an hour later? I'd be happy to stay an hour later.
No, because it's slap bang in the middle. That's my chance. It's a very generous offer, but tomorrow I can't.
I'd be even happy to stay to offer you guys an extra hour on Saturday, just to go over that, because I really want to help you guys.
Saturday is possible.
Or even Sunday.
I can't remember what's happening with the children, but we will. It's a very generous offer. I will accept. We'll just need to work out where and when.
Sure,
but that's
no worries,
okay.
no worries. Absolutely, yeah, absolutely.
It's not a burning platform today. It will be coming.
No.
Yes.
It's not rocket science, and I will gladly.
While we've been talking, I've actually checked, and for some reason, I've got Podbean already.
Yes, that's what I'm using. Yes.
Yeah. So I think it was because I did a talk radio interview or something, and I had to download the Podbean to be able to access it.
Yeah.
Which made sense now that you've explained that. But like James, I don't understand how this all works.
Okay.
But yeah, YouTube and Podbeam sounds like a good
Yes.
option.
Let's figure out a time that works for all of us, and I'd be happy to offer you an extra hour just going over that specifically
You're a star. Thank you.
as a bonus. You're very welcome.
you.
Very
You're a
welcome.
star.
Very
And
welcome.
just remember, you cannot possibly patronize me by being too basic.
No, absolutely not. You tell me at what speed you want me to go, and I'll just.
Well, reverse is ideal, but I think, as slow as possible, really.
No,
I
no.
tell you what it works for me, Payman, the seeing it as you're talking it, because I can't picture what I mean to spread this across all of the apps. It's like
No,
if
I can't.
it's I don't have the knowledge to
Okay.
picture what you're talking about, so I can't apply the words to a process.
Okay.
It's abstract for me.
Yeah. Okay. Let's do that. Tell me, guys, when is a good time that we can all get together for an extra hour on anytime this week, either before this call or 1 hour after. Keep in mind, right now is 8 p.m. I can't stay too late because of the time difference, but I'd be happy to stay an extra hour for you guys again as a bonus because I really want to help you
Okay.
guys, and I'd be delighted to do so.
Okay.
So it's 8 p.m. your time. So
Yes.
your time, I can do 10 p.m. on Friday.
10 p.m. my time, so that's 2 hours later.
So
That's midnight.
that's 3 o'clock UK time.
3 o'clock UK, that's 10 p.m. Friday, depending what I will be doing on Friday.
So
How
that's
about-
what I can do because I can delay a journey home.
Okay. Can you do 9?
No, because the workshop finishes at
Oh,
3 o'clock my time.
Okay. Okay.
I mean, if it doesn't work, don't panic. We'll find another time. I'm just saying that's.
Yeah.
What
'cause we
about
haven't-
Saturday?
Oh,
Nobody can do
hello.
Saturday.
Saturday or
Well,
Sunday?
the weekend's possible. I can't remember what's happening with childcare. That's my only.
The
I don't
earliest
know.
you guys can start, the better, because even if it's 8 o'clock a.m. for you guys, 8 plus 7, that's 3 p.m. for me. I can do it anytime. As soon as you wake up, I'd be happy to jump in.
So Saturday, 8 o'clock or 9 o'clock works.
That's the earlier you can start, the better it's going to be for me because it's in the afternoon for me.
So what time did you say, James?
8 o'clock or 9 o'clock on Saturday morning.
AM.
Yes.
Yes.
What about 9? 8's a bit of a
I
stretch.
can do 9, yes.
I can do 9.
Yeah, I can do 9.
9, 7, that's 4 o'clock for me, okay?
Hold on a moment, yeah.
Yeah, let's pencil it, put it in the WhatsApp group, and we'll find a time that
So
works for all of
Saturday
us.
at 9 a.m.
Saturday,
Okay.
9 a.m. Let's finalize it now. Saturday, does it work for you, Berta?
Yeah, it's 9 o'clock. It's okay.
9 o'clock, okay. How about you, Michelle?
Yeah, 9 o'clock's fine for me.
9 a.m. Okay. Anyone else?
And I know I won't be able to make tomorrow.
Sorry?
I won't be able to make the session
Okay.
tomorrow.
Make sure you watch the replay, please, okay?
The recap, yeah,
Oh,
okay.
Yeah. Let me see
Yeah, I
what
can do
else.
that.
Gifty,
She might still
Saturday,
be in her
9 a.m.
meeting.
Can you make it? Unmute yourself, please. Unmute.
She might be in a meeting still, is it? I don't know.
I'll be
Oh.
at a place organizing something. I have a meeting 7 to 8 on Saturday with the group. Better I'll be there, and then I'll rush off to an appointment at church.
Okay.
So, but what is the focus on? I can watch the replay. What are you doing?
I will record it. I'm gonna basically showing them how
Okay.
to set up their hosting for the audio podcast, and I'm gonna show you with my
Okay.
podcast how I'm gonna be uploading episodes from my computer into my Podbean account and from Podbean to Apple, Spotify, and all that good
Oh,
stuff.
I would have loved to know, but I'll watch the video
Okay,
because I'm
perfect.
doing it on YouTube now.
Okay,
So
perfect,
it would have
perfect.
been helpful. Mm.
All right, so let's finalize it. Saturday, 9 a.m. UK time.
Mhm. Mm.
Done. Okay,
I can
I'll-
learn
Yeah.
from better everyone.
okay,
Michelle.
okay. I will also show you guys how, once you've done the hosting, how to submit your podcast to directories such as iTunes, Spotify, Google, iHeartRadio, Stitcher, TuneIn, and all that good stuff. They go hand in hand. So nothing to be stressed about. It's very easy, and I will cover both of these two topics on Saturday and in depth. Okay, so the
Okay.
third part, the first part, the foundation, then the tech. Once you've taken care of that, the next step is how do we launch our podcast in an effective way so we can get, hey, not just listeners, but leads and clients, because that's what we want. We want to make money ASAP. So I'm going to be showing that to you guys on more details on Friday. And so I'm going to fly through it right now. So what I would recommend before you launch a podcast, before you make it public that you will be launching a podcast, I highly recommend you record at least 10 episodes before. And there's a very powerful reason for that. Is because when people are looking for to explore, to discover, to try a new podcast, people usually like to binge listen or binge watch. And if they see that you only have one episode, it's sending the wrong message to them. Hey, this person is not really committed, not serious. And if they like what you're offering, but you only have one episode, you will leave them a little bit dissatisfied. So, but once you have 10 episodes, then that's enough content for them to really enjoy. But also, I'm going to explain that more in detail on Friday. Before reach out to people that you don't know, to your ideal clients, I would highly recommend you have at least 10, 15, or 20 episodes, because if you reach out to someone that doesn't know you, the first thing they will do is want to check out your podcast. If they see you have less than 5, 10 episodes, they will not take you seriously. But if the more episodes you have, the more is going to tell them that, hey, this person is committed. And the more they will
Mm.
be responsive to your offer to be on your podcast. So this is why it's very important that you have at the bare minimum at least 10 episodes recorded before reach out to people that you don't know that happen to be your prospects. So also use social media campaign to promote your upcoming launch. You can go on other podcasts. You can contact your friends, family. You can do many things. You can do joint ventures. You can do many things to promote your upcoming launch. Keep your
Mhm.
question for the end, Berta. We're almost there. Okay, I just want to fly through, please. Just keep your hand. Okay. As I mentioned, yeah, some promotional ideas to build a website and start collecting emails. That's very powerful because the email is the most valuable asset you will have in a business. That's your basically clientele. And you can do cross promotions and joint ventures with other audiences. Here's a very powerful thing that not many people are doing. Even myself, I found myself guilty of that. Use and leverage press releases. That's incredibly powerful. And by press releases, you don't have to go straight to the national, international ones. Go to your local ones. Spend an hour or so looking for all of the emails of the local journalists in your area. Doesn't have to be radios, can be even local online magazines, or even just send them a press release. And press release, it's beyond the scope of this. I do cover it in depth in my academy, but I would say just go on Google, look up how to draft a compelling press release. It's not rocket science. And then once you've done that, email that to as many local journalists in your area and your small town or on a town next over. All you need is just one to say yes. One that says yes, that puts your business and a podcast on the map, and then leverage that as a snowball to go to the bigger, bigger, bigger. And before you know it, if you do that, if you do one press release, say a month or even a week, if you want to go hard, within 6 to 12 months, you can be on the big, big, big national, international outlets. I'm not joking. And press release is gonna one of the best thing to give you legitimacy, to give you the credibility. It's very powerful. And also go on a podcast tour, go on other podcasts, go on other podcasts where your exact ideal listeners hang out, not randoms. It's very easy. I will share with you guys another resource from another expert that came and did talks in previous challenges and academy, Misha. He did a powerful talk on how to go on a podcast tour. I will share that with you guys.
Misha Ribbons, Misha.
No, Misha Zveginzov is an American guy from California.
Different person. No worries.
No worries. Okay, no problem. So once we have all of that, then we can start getting leads. Once your podcast is launched, you can get leads in as little as 30 days from the time your podcast is launched. Once you build your foundational 10, 15 episodes, and then you can start making money to your brand spanking new YouTube channel. And by money, I don't mean getting peanuts from YouTube or Google, but I'm talking high ticket clients because you will be leveraging your podcast to get your foot in the door, to connect, to interview your prospects, to build that trust and rapport. And once you do that, I will share with you on Friday a very replicable and systematic approach to get leads on demand anytime you want. I can go make one post today, right now, and get 50 leads if I want to. But the problem is that I have the challenge rather as time. I don't want to be doing 50 podcast episode in the next week. So and I will share that with you guys on Friday. Once you know that, then getting leads is going to be the last of your problems. And I mean it. So, and all of that without spamming, cold calling, none of that nonsense, no ad spend, even if you have no audience to start with. So, as I said, there's two ways to make money on YouTube and a podcast. The outdated, obsolete way is build them, and very long and tedious way is build a massive audience, and then you make money through sponsorships, through downloads, through all of that. That takes a lot of time, and you need to be either a celebrity, have an existing massive audience, or you need to be a world-class expert in your field. But that's something that 99% of people starting do not have. I certainly didn't have it. I still don't have those. So, but the new way, the more efficient, the smartest way to monetize a podcast YouTube channel is what I just been sharing with you guys. I'm going to share with you more again over the next 2 days, and that is leveraging a podcast to interview your exact ideal prospects. Do you guys see how powerful that is? And again, in order to be able to do that, you must have clarity as to what is your zone of genius, what is the number one pain point you can solve, and for who. And once you have that, simply identifying where is that person hanging out and simply inviting them. Very simple yet incredibly powerful strategy. This is what literally saved my butt, allowed me to get to where I am today. This simple approach allowed me to get over 100 high-ticket clients in the last 18 months with a YouTube channel of less than 200 subscribers. This is what made it possible. So, once your podcast is launched, in as little as 30 days, you'll be able to get leads on demand and clients organically without spamming and no ad spend. Are you guys excited about that?
Yes.
Good. Here's another powerful reminder. Never put yourself in a position to ask, beg, or chase. Meaning, don't do cold calls, cold DMs, and all that. Don't do business the traditional way, which is smile and dial or just spam the heck out of people that you may not even know, because you're going to get banned on all the platforms in no time. Instead, when you invite people on your podcast, you're the one being chased because everybody wants to be on a podcast. You're doing them a favor. And again, recap, identify your true zone of genius and gift, identify your exact ideal listeners, identify where they hang out, and simply invite them onto your podcast. That four-prong approach is incredibly powerful. That's a very, very simplified, high-level overview of it, but I go into much, much more detail inside my academy implementing those. So again, this is what took me from where I was to where I am now. So again, now we're getting to the end of today's call almost. We have two options. We can either say, well, this is beautiful, but it's not for me. Or you can ask yourself a powerful question. That is, how can I implement that into my business so I can launch my podcast and get leads on demand? And that is by launching a profitable podcast YouTube channel. That's what we're going to be doing tomorrow and the next day. And I invite you to book a call with me, a free call. It's not a sales call. It's a call to further brainstorm to see how we can implement that, what I've been teaching, what I'll be teaching you tomorrow and the next day, into much more detail into your business. So I will share my my Calendly link. Most of you have my Calendly. If not, I will share it inside the WhatsApp group. Book a time with me for this week or next week, and let's have a chat. And the purpose of that call is going to be how we can implement that into your business, so you can get not only first launch your podcast, but second of all, how you can actually make money with it, get
You
leads
want
and
me
clients.
again?
Sorry,
You want me again?
you would what? Sorry.
You want me again?
Yes.
Oh, I can't get enough
Generally
of you.
speaking,
I can't get enough of you, Christine. No, I'm joking. All right. So that's it for today. Sneak peek into tomorrow. Tomorrow we're gonna be actually creating a podcast. The assets and the foundation. We're gonna be looking at the best format for your podcast, naming your podcast the right way. Then we're gonna be together creating each of you guys' YouTube channel, if you don't have one yet. And then we're gonna create your podcast cover art, thumbnails, and all that. I already shared with you the type of microphone accessories, so I may skip that. And I will show you how to do the recording and editing. That's something you probably already know. If you've been using Zoom, you probably know how to record and edit. And I will have a bonus expert talk for you guys tomorrow. My dear friend, alumni, and publisher of my academy, Mary Gooden. She's going to talk about the importance of having a book and how you can, by combining a book, your own book, business book, with your podcast, you build what is called the VIP approach: visibility, impact, profit, to become a very sought after and in demand, public speaker, coach, whatever you're looking for, trainer, corporate trainer for businesses. So that's going to be tomorrow. Yeah, that's it. Let's go to questions. Berta, you had your hand up. What's up?
Yes, thank you so much. Yeah.
Welcome.
Regarding having 10 podcasts before launching, I just wanted to know, does that include being a host, being,
Yes.
yeah, conversational or whatever?
Yep.
Does that include any podcast? Sometimes
Yes.
it's not specifically podcast, but like being invited to give a talk and people asking you questions, but
Raymond, I
that is
gotta
a
go.
recorded one.
All right. That's a great question. I would say the podcast should be about you as the host. If you've been interviewed on other podcasts, it's great. You can always add them onto your website or even onto your podcast. Yeah, sure, put them. But ideally, it's about, because you're inviting people onto your podcast. So that means you're the host. Okay. But if you've been invited on a podcast and they're a powerful podcast, then by all means, these are assets. Don't discard them. Okay. Does that answer your question?
And
Okay.
what does the launching entail? Because
What is
I've
what?
done a
Sorry?
couple. What would you be focusing on in your launch, in the launching of the podcast place?
The launch.
Is
Let's
this
see.
your
Let's
question?
go back.
Oh, you've done that. Okay.
The launch. Yeah. So again, go to that, and basically you can do some social media outreach. You can go to other podcasts as a guest, and you can do cross promotions. You can do press releases, going on a podcast tour,
Okay.
having your own website so you can start collecting emails, telling your friends, families, your hairdresser, your pizza delivery guy, put stickers on your car, anything you can to
Okay.
get the
Okay.
word
That's
out.
fine. I'll get that.
All right, cool. Any other questions? Any other questions? Michelle, do you have any question?
I have loads of questions. I think I'm going to catch up with you and look at this one-to-one
Okay, perfect.
um
All right,
session, this brainstorming. Yeah.
cool. I'll share my calendar link on the WhatsApp group. So book
Okay, perfect. Thank
book a
you.
time with me for next week, and we'll have a chat.
That would be brilliant. Thank you so much.
Very welcome. So let me catch up with the chat here. Okay, George has to go. All right, Christine has to go. Perfect. All right. So guys, let's call it a day. And I'll see you guys tomorrow. I
Thank
will
you.
share the replay of that in a few hours today, along with the slides. But I will also share the link to my Calendly. Book a time for next week, and let's rock and roll. So have a great one. Thank you for staying with us. I hope you've been
Thank you.
enjoying this, and I'll see you guys tomorrow, same time. And
Okay, bye.
Gifty,
Hello.
connect me with your friend because I haven't seen your friend.
She said she's completed the bid, but also she's got a lot of things she's dealing with.